Hello everyone, my name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today we have the great pleasure of having with us Katrina Berry. Katrina is a systemic consultant and management coach using systemic constellations to support organizations and executives to solve the challenges which they face in today's complex world. She is the chair of Infosion, I guess. I'm not sure, but she will tell us in just a minute. This is for the Forum of the Systemic Constellations in Organizations and Professional Context. This association supports the research of the method, which is with its academy, and supports the organizational constellations to become a recognized management approach. But before starting with Katrina, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. When we're live streaming, we have an active chat. It's a screen you're going to see on my side here or under the video. In case that you're following us from a smartphone, we invite you to interact with us through the chat. We also invite you to like and subscribe not only to this channel and this platform, but our social media in Mindalia Televisión, Mindalia Televisao. We have 3 channels in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and we are broadcasting their information as interesting and as useful as the one that you are already used to see in Mindalia TV. We are not going to delay this any further, and I have the very great pleasure of introducing Katrina. Katrina, welcome to Mindalia. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today.
We are actually very happy to have you, and I'm going to be talking with you about organizational constellations. So, for those who have zero idea about what an organizational constellation is, what is it? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, an organizational constellation, there are many different forms and types. There's not just one organizational constellation, but it's any constellation that takes place in an organization or in a professional setting, and the topic is usually a professional or an organizational topic. Some business problem or challenge, or team challenges. Yeah, and they can be set up in many different ways.
And so this is basically, you are putting together a social group regardless of its nature. It can be family, it can be like a corporation, an office, a business. And what is the purpose of it? Like, why would someone search or seek for help through this method?
People would use or look for help or support with constellations when things seem very strange, when their back's against the wall, or when they have a very complex system that they can't easily read or understand, when they have challenges in the market with competitors or changes in the market that are happening that they need to look at and to support them just to carry their business forward, or to solve challenging problems that they have at the moment. You mentioned family. We have quite a difference between family constellations and organizational constellations. And the only time really that families come into it is with family businesses. That's a typical area where there's an overlap with the family system and the organizational system or the company system. But generally, we look at the system as an organization or a team or a department or a product that a company is bringing onto the market. So these are the type of situations we look at.
And you look to solve issues like situations between them, like hierarchies, or tell me a little bit more about it. If I knew absolutely nothing, if someone asks you, you meet someone in the streets and they ask you, what do you do?
Okay.
What would you answer?
Um, it's it's very different. It really all depends on the situation. Maybe I'll just talk about this last weekend. We had a workshop, and we had a very big bank come to us, and we supported them to look at their complex system and how digitalization was going to be implemented in this banking system. So, yeah, the manager responsible for digitalization, quite a word, he wanted to see how is it going to affect the bank and what departments is it going to affect, the customers, and yeah, so we set out his system using representatives, using people to represent the different elements of the system. And here we're not looking for a real solution. We're just looking at the situation as it is to give him more idea of what he's facing. And we can try things out. He can try different things out during the constellation and even ask the representatives if they have any insights. And this is particularly interesting, this situation, because very often we work blind. So the representatives that represent the different elements of a system don't know who they are. So we can work completely, we don't really need to know the context. We can work just using the letters of an alphabet. So maybe sometimes the facilitator knows and the client, but the actual representatives don't know what they're representing. So they can't bring any of their own stories into the constellation because they have nothing to go by. So we get a lot of information that really just comes out of the system itself. So
This basically energy is this how is the information passed around, or how does the information goes from where it's coming from to where it needs to go?
yeah, that's a really big question. And that question is not easily answered. Some people try to answer it using expressions like the knowing field, the quantum, that we're all connected. There's lots of different theories of how this could happen, and a lot of my colleagues, or a few people who have researched this area and are trying to find out the answers. But we still, I would say, we don't really know exactly how it's happening. And you have to experience it to know what I'm talking about and to believe it. Hopefully soon or one day we will be able to explain it. We will know, how does this happen? Is it the quantum field? Is it the knowing field? Is it based on Rudolf Sheldrake's theories, or is it based on others? But at the moment, and usually our clients who are in these situations, they don't really care as long as it works for them and it helps them. So it's not a question that you're generally asked. So,
That is actually
mm,
beautiful. I like it because it is telling me about a situation in which you are using a tool, and you're using it because you know it works. Like,
mhm.
how does it work? I'm not completely sure. We don't get to see it. We don't know where it's
Yeah,
coming from, but it's been helping people for decades now.
exactly,
And
exactly. And it's spreading all over the world. It's spread in the last 15 years all over the world. We have members of the association where I chair in 25 different countries. There's so much going on in globally. It's really exciting at the moment. So yeah, it's really a lot happening in this field.
how long have you been doing this?
I started in the 90s, about 15 years ago, when I trained as a systemic consultant, and I trained in constellation work. And since then, I've been, yeah, it's a learning journey, I think, and the method is developing all the time. So yeah, it's exciting to be so involved in that.
It sounds as it's alive, right? It's
Mm.
still growing. It's still,
Yeah, yeah.
and so you're basically a pioneer because you've been there since the 90s, and It looks like
Yeah.
little, but it's actually more than 20 years.
Yeah.
We're in 2019, we're months from being in 2020. You
Yeah.
are going to be at a congress in Portugal very
Yes.
soon. What is
Yes.
the congress about?
Yes, I'm really excited. I think it's fantastic that they're organizing the first international conference in Portugal. There's going to be, I think, 40 presenters in all different areas. So there'll be presenters, facilitators working with family constellations, with legal, the law and constellations. There'll even be judges there, I think, talking about how they use it in family courts in Portugal and in Brazil. So I'm really excited to hear about that because that's not an area where I get to hear much about. Yeah, the school education system. And then there'll be another track on symptoms and illnesses. So, and then the organizational constellations of which I'll be part of along with some really, really experienced colleagues. So I'm really excited to be part of this. I think I don't, and I've been in, as you said, I've been in this work a long time, and um, this is the first time that I think something so big is being organized. You know, with all the different tracks together. So usually it's either the family or the organizational, or sometimes a little bit of overlap, but with so much variety, it's really exciting.
It sounds like a lot of people from different places in the world, for what I've heard, are going to be
Mm-hmm.
attending. And you're just telling me that in different, even different fields, the organizational or the corporation type, like the one you do, and
Mm-hmm.
then families. And how, when I'm still very curious about the therapy itself, and you are telling me that you work with a group of people. Is there a limit on the amount of people that you will need to?
It all depends what you want to do. You can do a very large constellation with a very large group of people. If you're looking at national issues or global issues, um, I think it starts getting a little bit complicated if there's maybe over 50 people. I think it's a little bit complicated then. Um, if you're looking at somebody's a specific issue, then a smaller group is easier and nicer to work with. So maybe 20, 30 people. But you can do it in a group of 10. You can do it. Sometimes you don't have enough representatives, and then you can use floor anchors, or you can even do it in an office setting. You use the glasses on a table or something. You can do a table constellation. So yeah, there's all different kinds and all shapes and sizes really. Or depends what you're doing and what the question is, and then you adapt your work really to that.
Thank you. And so I see, for what I read in your bio, that you represent also an organization that works towards
Mm-hmm.
helping this technique to be recognized, in the other professional spheres and other professional fields.
Mm-hmm.
What are the tools that you guys use? Like, how is that process? What do you need to do in order for it to be recognized?
You mean like a certification or? Yeah, we have quality standards that we've had for a long, long time, and that's basically the foundation that we stand on. We have an external quality team that aren't part of the board. They're independently and they work independently, and they check members who have done training and have some experience. And if they have enough experience and fulfill the requirements, then they're certified to become professionals or to become master trainers, so they can teach organizational constellations. Um, yeah, we also certify curriculums. So if some institute has a curriculum that they want certified, we do that. We work with them to certify their curriculum, and then their students have an easier path to become certified facilitators. And these facilitators we have on our website, so with their names and where they are located, so people can find them. And yeah, it's growing. I mean, we're still quite small, but it's a specific area. You know, we have 150 members now, which we're really happy about, and but in I think 24 countries worldwide. So we have three communities, you know, the Spanish speaking, the English speaking, and the German speaking communities. And so it's exciting.
how did you started in this journey
In the association,
in the organizational constellations? What brought you to wanting to do this?
it was an experience in my training. A part of my systemic training was to experience constellation work, which I did on a personal issue first. And I was just blown away by the experience. So I knew, yeah, that's something for me. And yeah, I just knew it. I mean, we work with feelings and we work with intuition, trusting intuition, and I trusted my intuition. And after doing a few different workshops and training, I knew, yeah, this is the path I want to take, and yeah, I haven't
Very
regretted it.
big game changer, right? Learning to trust intuition. We
Yeah,
silence intuition so much,
yeah.
and to end up being exactly where we didn't want to be at. You are gonna be in the Congress. Are you gonna be like in a conference? Are you gonna be offering workshops? How is that gonna be?
hmm I'm giving a lecture, a 30-minute lecture, where I'm going to talk about organizational constellation today, and what's happening in the different fields and communities, and also where is it going, the developments. And because for me, the most important thing is connecting people. You know, if somebody's sitting in the audience and is interested in legal constellations, then I know, or I can maybe point him in the right direction, or digitalization, who's working on that topic. And so I want to give as much information as possible so that it might connect the right people, and so this work can develop even further and move on.
Is there
Yeah.
something from that conference that you're gonna be offering in the Congress that you would like to share with us? Would you feel comfortable telling us a little bit about it? That information so precious.
Um, sure. Well, I'm going to be giving a workshop as well, apart from the lecture. And in that workshop, I want to work with people or show people that maybe they can already start doing the work themselves in a certain way, to start using this method to set up their own system. And you don't have to do a load of training and go for courses and courses, but to take the first steps, to maybe know what are the elements I need, or what can I look at, what issues can I look at, and to set them up. Because once you've done that and you set up your system, you can then take a step back and look at it from the outside. So you can already gain information just by doing that, and maybe ideas of what could be a solution, what could be a next step, what is a resource, what have you maybe forgotten, what's been ignored maybe. So um, that's one thing I'll be talking about, and the other thing will be these blind constellations that you really don't need to know what you're representing to set up the constellation, and how powerful that is. So those are two of the things I want to be sharing. Um,
What is normally when you help a group of people perform or work on a constellation, the work is done, they leave. What are the improvements that you normally get to see when a constellation is applied or practiced? How do you
mhm.
what's the proper way to say it? Is it applied? Is it practiced? How do you actually what's the
um,
proper verbiage
I,
for it?
I think you say when you've set up a constellation, or when they've had a constellation, or attended a constellation workshop, and then they go home. And it's sometimes often helpful to talk about what could be the next steps. Um, what are the takeaways, but also sometimes it all depends. But if it's very complex, it sometimes needs time to settle with the client, and then it's good to talk maybe a few days later or a week after to answer questions or that they may have, um, things that could have come up in the constellation. But usually they already know and have ideas of how they can maybe approach their situation in a different way, or maybe they are assured that they approach it in the right way that they had planned. Sometimes people don't want to I won't say believe, but they see something in the constellation and they don't always react on that information. And sometimes they realize maybe afterwards, or it might have been help. I could have trusted my intuition or trusted what the constellation showed me. That happens too. It's a powerful tool, and it takes sometimes courage to also believe and to to make decisions also based on that information.
Well,
Sometimes it takes courage.
it may take, because when someone is within a constellation, an organizational constellation, I'm not completely sure, but I understand that you organize a group and you start probably giving an interpretation of the other members of the group is feeling, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
is that how it works?
Not really. I mean, somebody would choose the elements, or the elements choose a card A, B, C, or D. Okay, so then they will stand in the constellation in relation to how they feel comfortable, or the client sets them up as his internal picture tells him to. And then we basically just see how is the system. We try to read the system, or and sometimes the elements give us information. They feel comfortable, they feel strong, they feel grounded, or sometimes they're turned away. They're looking in a different direction. So you look which elements is close to which other element. Where are they looking? Where is their focus? You get a lot of information without even asking anything, just by how the elements are placed together.
Is it
And
basically a tool for conflict resolution? Would you call it like that?
it can be. It can be. It can be used as conflict resolution. It can even be on one-to-one. Sometimes you have a conflict with a colleague, or you're uncertain about a new boss, and sometimes you can set up you and the other person, and very often it's not as such a conflict as you thought it was. Sometimes it's our own feelings or that sometimes get in the way, and sometimes we see, oh, maybe the other person doesn't quite see it as I do. So it can be used also in that way.
So probably to feel or to experience the perspective of other people within your social group.
Yeah, exactly. To stand in someone else's shoes. You can switch places. And how is it for my colleague? How is it when I'm standing in his shoes, feeling maybe his burdens or his situation as it is? So it gives you more insight
So
to the
probably if
situation.
I, for example, I work at a bank, I
Mm-hmm.
go to work 9 to 5 every day, and there's turmoil within the environment in the bank, and I am probably not having a good time with the cashier whom is saying this and this and that about me, and she's trying to work, but I'm trying to work, but we're having conflict. That's one of the situations in which you could apply an organizational constellation, or is it too vain?
Um, you would start maybe first with an interview and find out, because sometimes not all topics are you need to set up as a constellation. Sometimes there's some basic coaching or consulting skills you can use to solve a problem without setting up a constellation. It's not always the favored method. But if you don't really understand why something's happening, and you can't really explain it, there's not really anything that you can name, then sometimes it is very helpful, because sometimes you're projecting something onto your colleague, or your colleague onto you, that maybe doesn't even belong in that situation. And sometimes it's easy to then detect that. Maybe I look at you and I see my younger sister, or and I.
It happens. So it touches some fiber within the other one that it's just triggering a certain behavior.
Yeah.
And for what I understand, more and more people are accepting this method as a way of, conflict resolution, or work environment improvement even. What is, you have been doing this for quite some time now, but what is the how do you see that people is reacting towards? Is people more open to get to know about these type of techniques, and what type of companies are you being are you seeing that it's adopting this type of method?
Well, I think 5 years ago the situation was completely different. So I really see a change. I see a real an opening up. I mean, obviously we're not as where we really want to be, but we've really taken some great steps, and there have been a lot of books written, and there's a lot of research. There's a lot of PhD theses written on the topic now. And these people have, with their PhDs, they've also got jobs in big global organizations, and are taking the method into the organizations. So, which is helping to spread the word. So there are internal consultants now working with Constellations, as well as external. And I think it's really growing all the time. And in a few weeks, there's a big project management conference in Germany. There's my colleagues doing a workshop there. That's a first time that project management is combined with organizational constellations. So yeah, I definitely see it's really moving, and it's more and more companies are using it and seeing it as a valuable tool to gain more insight in their situations.
What do you think is, what's the reason why this niche is opening for this type of therapies? What's happening out there that people are opening their minds and accepting such a holistic, such a new type of techniques?
Well, the one thing I think is more and more people are becoming trained, and they're finding out in university about the method. So, which also didn't happen 3 years ago or 5 years ago. So they're become trained, or young people are coming in contact with the method. Um, there's more and more research done, so we have things to back it up, or literature to back it up. And I think it's a part of the big movement. There's the movement of mindfulness and holistic management and intuition, using your intuition. So I think it's just part of this movement. When we look at theory U and spiral dynamics, these different things that are coming now into organizations, I just think it's the right time now. And then, of course, with the challenges that the companies are facing, the classic methods maybe aren't bringing the results that they really want to see. So they're open to trying out new things.
Do you think that probably it has a little bit to do with the type of human potential that is reaching the companies? Like the employees are a new generation, and that the new generations process information in a different way. Maybe they are even open to experiencing and the perception of whatever is outside that matrix that we don't see, that that we were talking earlier, that you say, well, we don't really know how they get the information, but they get in it. You think that it may have to do something with the software of the employees, the internal software of them?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And I think that's everywhere now. It's really it's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, successful companies are the companies that are using these talents, these methods, this new internal software. I think the classic management methods just aren't really working anymore, and the young generation, they want something different anyway. So.
How do you see people receiving when they say, okay, here is Katrina, he's coming to help us with the workshop? Do you see the reception of your techniques more in the younger population, or is people like older also open to experience or to experiment with this?
I think it's actually 50-50 still at the moment. Which is good, not still, which is good. I mean, there's the older generation is opening up, and the younger generation are just soaking it up like sponges. So I think you can't really say it's just one age group. I think it's more a type of person, a more open, more maybe courageous, somebody who wants to try out new things and has also been reading up on these different methods and maybe connecting the dots and saying, maybe this method could be interesting. And I mean, you can just give it a try. And once you've given it a try and experienced it, then there's no going back anyway. So
I see that. And so you are going to be in the Congress. What's the date for the Congress, if you may?
It's the 18th and 19th of October.
Okay.
In Lisbon, at the Catholic University. And I think there's going to be very many participants from around the world. So that will also just give us, there's such a learning and sharing potential there.
Have you been there before? Have you been to the Congress before? It's your first time?
Well, it's the first in Portugal.
So it is the first in Portugal.
It's the first time somebody has organized such a diverse conference. I can't remember something like this before. It's really, the organizers are doing a fantastic job to really give all these different methods and applications a platform, and I think it will be a very exciting event.
It's basically an opportunity for the people that is passionate, or it's even feeling curiosity about this method, to get to know the brightest personalities in the organizational constellations, or family constellations as well, as I understand. What are you more excited about? Do you have a favorite? Someone that you say like, oh my God, this is gonna be there and I want to meet them?
I'm really interested to find out what they're doing in courts, in the Portuguese court and in Brazil, and they're really using it in the family courts to support families and children to find good solutions. I think I'm really interested to hear about that work, because I think that is so valuable and special.
I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to reduce the cost of many mediations and many litigation situations if they are able to capture exactly what's going on and solve it from the beginning. And so,
and just also the international, people from such a diverse international field. It's just such an opportunity to get together and find out, who's doing what in where, and who's developing the method in which way. And I just think that's really exciting.
And the noise it's going to be making, right? Because whenever something like this happens, you start seeing it in media and a pamphlet and radio, and people start to knowing that this even exists, because there's many people that don't even know that this is a thing and how powerful it is. Are you so you're gonna be there the 3 days, and you have a stand, you have how How do you know
No,
what the setting is, more or less?
no, I don't really. I haven't even thought about a stand. That's a good idea. I'll be taking some information about the association because we really want to support the community in whatever way we can. So I will be taking some information, and in my lecture, I'll be saying a little bit about what we do and how people can contact us, and um, just so that they know we're there. And if they have questions, we're more than happy to help them and answer them. And if we can't answer them, point them in the right direction so that they can receive the answers, and just connect people around the globe, because that's what I think is we need to do. We need to support each other and learn together and develop together. And so that would be a great opportunity to do that there.
What do you think is the legacy of organizational constellations? What's the impact do you think this is causing in the world?
I hope a very great impact. When I think of just last weekend, when I mentioned I was at a workshop, it was actually our academy meeting, and we had a lady from a very big organization. I think I can name her organization. It was Siemens. And there are thousands of people that are working there, and she's working in the consultancy, the internal consultancy department. So she's supporting the change processes in Siemens, and that will implement or will affect a lot of people's jobs and lives. So, um, with just a few constellations, it might help some people who have very responsible jobs or positions, support them in their decision-making processes. And so I think, and I hope, and I truly believe that the legacy will be very big. And in the future, it may be even bigger when the global challenges that we're facing become more and more relevant and serious. And
Empathy, probably, is that one of the things that you can achieve by implementing a constellation, having the people feel empathic towards the situation of their coworkers?
yeah, I think that you can support that process. I mean, you can't help anybody become, or you can't make someone become empathic, but you can support the process. And I think when you stand in someone else's position, or you see the situation from a different standpoint, then you have a different understanding. And then with this understanding, hopefully it will lead to greater understanding amongst people, employees, colleagues, teams. Yeah.
I can't. That sounds very interesting. Let's go ahead and we're up. We are reaching the finish of the time that we had to talk today. But I don't want you to leave without sharing with us where can we find you. And I also want to ask you about the Congress. How can people get to know more about the Congress, or is there a website, or who can they contact in order to go?
Yeah, there is a website for the Congress, which is in Portuguese. Maybe you can pronounce that for me.
Yes, let's go ahead and see. I have www.congresoconstelações.pt/en/. So let's spell it, right? www dot C is in Charlie ON GRESSOCONSTELACOES.pt/en/. That's the Congress website.
That's right.
How about your website, Katrina?
Yeah, my website is in German, really. It's Kirchbaumer Consulting. It's a consulting agency, so I'll spell that too because it's a bit difficult. So it's www.kirchbaumer-consulting.de.
And you are going to be in the Congress, right?
And I'm in the Congress, so I'm on the Congress website too. So you can easily find me there. And there's a link to my website also on the Congress website. So the Congress website is very detailed. You've got a list of all the workshops and the program and who's going to be there. And yeah, all the information will be on that website.
Thank you, Katrina, for giving us your time, your ideas. We're truly grateful. But before leaving, let's go ahead and spell that Congress website one more time. And the Congress website is www.congresoconstelaciones.pt/e/ which is going to be www.congresoconstelacoes.pt/en/. Katrina, can you please, one more thing, tell us about the dates and times and the place of the Congress?
Yeah, it's on the 18th and the 19th of October at the Catholic University in Lisbon in Portugal. And it's all day long. So from morning till evening, there's a full program. So yeah, there will be something for everybody there. So it's really going to be fascinating. So I really hope to see lots of different people from all around the world there.
Big candy store for the enthusiast of the constellations. We want to thank you again, and we thank our audience. Remember, do not leave without liking, subscribing, and following in our social media, not only this channel, but Mindalia Televisión for Spanish programming and Mindalia Televisão for Portuguese programming. We are sending you a very big hug from our heart to yours, and until next time. Bye bye.